Hi there, I'm Molly,
And I'm Jamie. We're the owners of Hired Hand Software.
and this is Season 6 of our From the Pasture podcast. For more than 15 years, we've been helping breeders promote their pedigree livestock with our easy-to-use, animal management-driven website software.
Each week, we bring you stories from the pasture, breeding philosophies, ranch traditions, cattle knowledge, and conversation with folks using Hired Hand to power their livestock marketing.
So settle in for today's episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Today we're headed to Bosque County by way of Dallas to visit with Leslie and Marshall Merritt of Norse Ridge Ranch. Their program might be young, but their vision is incredibly clear. In fact, they've built their entire ranch philosophy around 3 simple words: therapy, beauty, respect. And today's conversation is structured around exactly that. We're going to talk about how a quick pivot from Angus turned into a full-blown love affair with registered Texas Longhorns, what it meant to find therapy in the pasture after a week in the busy city, how they define beauty from sweeping horn to bold color to balanced structure, and why respect for the animal drives every decision they make, from genetics to nutrition to disposition. This episode is especially relatable for anyone who balances a busy life in town with weekends at the ranch, and for those who believe these cattle are more than livestock, they're an experience. Let's step into the pasture with Leslie and Marshall. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Glad to be
Glad
here.
to be here.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Marshall, tell us about that first Angus purchase.
Okay. I was born and raised in Decatur, Texas on a 100-acre farm. My dad was a hobby farmer. He raised racehorses and Angus. And so I grew up feeding animals, going to the shows, the whole bit. And that's really all I knew. So when we bought our ranch, I just knew we had to have an ag exemption. So I went and bought some Angus.
Leslie, what was your response?
I said, where's the fun in that? I just thought there's no way that I can have a relationship with an Angus cow. I'm an animal lover. I wanted animals that we could interact with, we could pet, and that doesn't happen with an Angus. And at the time, we just had one granddaughter. She was a baby, but we knew our children would have more. And so I had this vision of animals that they could interact with, we could pet, and so forth.
Was there any hesitation between the two of you when pivoting to registered Longhorns?
Oh, yes. We both graduated from Texas, and we had never heard of raising registered Texas Longhorns. And so when Leslie got online and kind of found this world, we were a little bit suspect. We just didn't understand. We knew Longhorns existed, but the Longhorns I've always seen weren't that great looking. And so I got online on Craigslist and found a breeder out near Rockwall, east of Dallas. And we went out there, and he was really putting a hard sales pitch on us. And he had a cow that I thought looked pretty. I didn't know anything about it. And I said, how much would that cow cost? And he said, $40,000 because of Jamaicism. And Leslie and I looked at each other like, what is a Jamaicism? We had no idea what that was. But we weren't going to tell him that, but he probably could figure that out. But after a couple more trips back out there to see him, we just felt like he was just his sales pitch was just too hard, and we just couldn't trust him. So he may have been fine. It wasn't what we wanted to be sold on. And so we moved on. And Leslie found somebody online that we actually happen to know.
And that really was a blessing. And I'm just going to do a shout out for y'all's search engine feature, because if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have found anything. And I just Googled registered Texas Longhorns, and all these ranches, local ranches, came up. We wanted to stay in Texas. And one of them was KDK Longhorns with Janet Harmon and Kent Mays. And we both went to Texas with Kent. And so...
Yeah, we knew Kent from Texas, and he and I happened to be in the same service organization. So I just called him and they invited us down, and we went and saw their incredible herd. And we ended up buying, I don't know, 5 or 6 from them, not knowing one single thing what we were doing. And we still have 2 of those today. They did us right by not taking advantage and selling us all their low end animals. And the 2 we have are 2 of our very best.
Our very best. And I was so impressed by Janet's knowledge of pedigrees. She could just look out, and they had so many, still do. And we're just driving past, and she could just point out any cow and tell you the pedigree down to the Grand Dam. And I just thought this woman knows what she's talking about.
Right.
And they worked together, which was so impressive. A true team, those 2. So that was awesome.
Tell me a little bit more about when you were at the point where you were researching programs around you. Did you find other programs? Did you start to try to understand the pedigrees? Just tell our listeners a little bit more about that journey.
Okay.
Well, I guess when we started out, we only just used Google. I mean, sure, that's all we did. We went to KDK's ranch, bought a few. We went to a ranch called GVR, Longhorns out near Dublin. Super nice couple that we bought a few from them, and we still have one that's one of our very best. And so we just got lucky that we came across people that were willing to sell us not just their very worst animals, because they knew we knew nothing. And that's just a blessing that we weren't really thinking about when we started this journey, for sure.
Did you use social media at all in addition to Google when you were trying to find breeders near you or animals for sale near you?
I don't remember. I'd never been on social media up until 2 years ago, never one time. And so Leslie has, and I don't remember us going on social media.
I only use social media just for social reasons. And so I just didn't think to use it for Longhorns. So it really was a matter of Googling and then the next few steps that we went through that we can talk about, the auctions.
Mm-hmm.
The auctions are what truly educated us and opened our eyes about what's out there. We had no idea.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Well, we bought our first animals in, November of 22. And so the next year, the Hudson Valentine was the first auction we went to. And we walked in and sat down at an open table, and there was a young couple there that were super nice named Brittany and Josh Gentry. And so we sat there, and the auction started, and Brittany would sit there and say, okay, this cow's going to sell for about this. And she would do it over and over, and she was just spot on. I mean, it was
the dollar.
It was amazing what she could do. And I was just dumbfounded, like, how do you know all these animals and what they'll sell for? And even I looked at Josh, and he's like, yeah, she does this all the time. So it was just kind of like, wow, how can you get that kind of knowledge? Her knowledge was just so impressive. So when we started home, I said, Leslie, we've been for 4 or 5 months, we've been just kind of floating along. Hey, these are fun. These are pretty, whatever. I just told her, after seeing that world of the auction world and how people, the pricing, everything, I said, I just can't do it as a hobby. I have to take this. It's a hobby, but it has to be a serious hobby. I'm just too competitive. I just can't sit back. I just can't do it. I'd rather not do it. And she didn't come around as quickly as I did, but she did finally come around.
Well, I just wanted, because I love these animals in general, and I was growing to love these animals so much, I just wanted to make sure before we just went in full-fledged, I wanted to make sure it was a safe industry and they really looked after the animals' welfare and there was no harm. And we did our research. We talked to a lot of people, went online, read about it, and it is indeed a safe industry for the animals. They are not mistreated in any way. So once I realized that, and by the way, kind of comes back to that word respect. We really need to respect these animals and make sure that they will not be harmed in any way, and they're not. So after I did that, I was ready to go.
So you got the green light, and where did you go from there? How many did you buy any at the Hudson Valentine's sale? Did you go to sales after that and make purchases?
No, we went just to see what an auction. I think someone told us about it. I don't even remember who, but we just went to see what it was about.
I think it was Kent and Janet.
Maybe Kent and
invited
Janet.
us.
Yeah, it was Kent and Janet. And so at that point, we had to figure out, okay, how do you start learning this business? Well, other people. I had met Brian Brett, who was super nice. And so I started calling Brian probably too much, but I started calling him a lot. But he helped incredible. He was very, very, very nice to put so much time into my questions. But there were others. I'd met Wayne Manning, Dean Whitlock, Amy and Tom Buxton. I mean, the list can go on. The Stegamolers. The list can go, Ryan Culpepper, Dale Hunt. I mean, it can go on, and I'm going to leave some people out that I shouldn't, but they were all very, very open with their information, and we really appreciated it.
And I have a little side note about Brian Brett. Marshall was calling him so much, just like every night for many nights in a row. And I just said, you are stalking this guy. You've got to stop.
Okay.
He has a live. Oh my gosh, give him a break. And I said, he has talked to you so much. He's given you so much of his time. You need to buy an animal from him. So we did. And she's one of our greatest.
I was not stalking.
Well,
it's just this Longhorn world gets in your blood. And when you see someone who will receive your questions, you just kind of, I have a hard time stopping, I guess.
So I worried.
I feel like Brian is genuinely one of those people who believes in passing it on too. And when he got started, I think he was in a similar boat, had some great mentors, and, now he is one of the most knowledgeable people, to rely on. And I'm sure he's very happy just to pass that on.
I do want to say one thing, and I even looked this up. Oh, it's been a little bit back, but I just think one of the biggest crimes in Longhorn world is that Brian Brett has never won Breeder of the Year. He has put so many bulls and females into this industry, and he deserves that credit. I think he is one of the smartest Longhorn people in the industry. When you get really in depth conversations, you can just see he studies this and really understands the breeding.
Is that your pitch for us all to fill out our nomination forms for next year?
It is. I think that would be very justified.
We'd throw our hats in the ring for that.
All right. So you got rid of the Angus, you added some Longhorns, you went to some sales, you started the education process about bloodlines and pedigrees. What came next?
I guess studying the sales brochures that really advanced us a lot. Because once you start studying them, you kind of see how, Brittany Gentry can get to that point. I don't know if we're there yet, but we're close because we now understand the maternal lines, the sires, the ones we like, the ones we don't like. And it's just through, I look at it morning and night. I just love looking at it. And y'all's website truly makes it so easy to do the research. That's what I love about just going back and seeing. One of the things Brian Brett does, he counts how many times who is it? Don Quixote's spear. And so Leslie's now doing that, going deep dives.
Because we love black in our herd. We love to have those accents, and it's sometimes hard to come by. And color is a little more important to me than it is Marshall, but I've really kind of stuck by that because when you're looking and you get, especially if you're at an auction and you're under pressure and just all the chaos that happens at an auction, you've really got to stick to those those core values and core whatever attracted you to the breed. And that was the color for me. And of course, I like horn and conformation, the complete cow or heifer, but color's really important.
So in
And
those
that was non-negotiable.
in those early days when you were first starting off, but also when you were beginning to learn more and studying the sale catalogs and going online to research those animals more, was there ever a point where you bought an animal sight unseen? Did you always see them in person? Tell me a little bit about that.
Never sight unseen.
Never thought we wouldn't do that.
And we also have a habit or just really a standard of going to see the animals in the pens at the sale before the auction starts. We want to see that animal first. So yeah, that's where everything online just helps so much because as long as there's updated photos, and we really look at that too to make sure they're current. That's just half the game right there.
Let's jump into the three values that you list on your website. So the first one is therapy. What does that really mean to you when it comes to the cattle?
Okay, excuse me, I have a little cold. Therapy really, because we love these animals because they're constantly changing. They are absolutely gorgeous. And just being out in the pasture when the sun's setting with our glass of wine and watching these girls just stroll and want cubes, want head scratches, just whatever's on your mind that you've kind of, whatever baggage you've packed in your brain, just melts away. It's no longer there. And being out in the country, the clean country air and the starry nights, you can see the stars. Can't get that in Dallas, really. So it is therapy on so many levels. And then another level of therapy we've experienced is it's helped our marriage so much because, after 36 years of marriage, um, things get stale. I just got to be honest. And so this has added a real dimension to our marriage and an interest and a common interest. Marshall's got his business and sports, and I have family and my teaching. But this is what we have in common, and it's just so much better than sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. We can just talk about Longhorns, and it's fun.
Do you find the same relaxation, Marshall, or are you out there kind of thinking, okay, this is who I'm going to pair her with next? This is what this calf should look like?
I am out there thinking about that and doing a lot of the, I guess you call it manual labor, even though I love it. I'm almost addicted to it. But yes, the therapy of just seeing the results of something you work so hard for, I think that really there's a reward there that's hard to explain. If maybe you just have casual animals, and that's not really what I like doing. I like being committed and seeing results. And we're just early into it, but we've already had a calf crop, and so things are starting to come around. So we're real excited about it.
Tell me a little bit about what your typical weekend looks like when you arrive at the ranch, because you don't live there full time, right?
Right.
And how far is the ranch from your
2 hours, exactly.
Dallas? 2 hours?
Yes.
Mhm.
So tell me about the time you walk out your door in Dallas till the time you have spent maybe a night or two at the ranch, kind of your routine and how your feelings change. And do you feel this?
When we walk out, we usually check Hired Hand, your latest podcast. So we listen to that going down.
Awesome. That's
and
awesome.
we listen to other podcasts as well. But you said you put one out a week, so we're listening every time. We rarely watch it, but we do listen to it. And then when we get there, after we unpack, it's just I go over and start feeding, because I really just want to see the animals as much and see how they're doing, because it's amazing in a week, 5 days, they can change. And it's kind of like, wow, that cow put on some horn in just a week, that kind of thing. And so we do that. And then after we kind of do our cow thing, where we have so many projects, Leslie's really gotten in. She's kind of in charge of our soil health. Central Texas doesn't have the best soil. And so where we worked for the last 4 years, really trying to improve our soil, which will improve our grasses.
Yes, excuse me. So what I've done is I believe in cover crops in the fall, like rye and wheat and 2 types of rye. And so we harrow that in before a rain, and that's also a food crop. And then in the spring we do native grasses, and that takes a while. Those are a little more finicky, but after 3 years, they're finally coming up, and we have improved this soil. That's mainly, a lot of it's thin, a lot of it's rocky, caliche. But this documentary that I mentioned, Biggest Little Farm, really taught us about regenerating the soil, rotational grazing. Um, we don't believe in pesticides. That doesn't mean, we think they're wrong. We just don't do that with our soil and our land.
And we did pick up some more land, so we can rotate easier now than when we first started.
Mm-hmm.
That's made a huge difference.
What other sorts of projects?
What are some other projects? Well, we have lots of cedar in Central Texas, and that's why we both have allergies right now, but it blows up here. But we're removing cedar that's overtaken certain pasture land, and so we're claiming that back all the time. And so that's a ongoing project that it really is worked on every single week by some of the people who work at our place and by us, just constant.
And of course, we want to have our family out to the ranch as much as possible. It's a little hard right now because our grandchildren are still so young. So, and they do come out, but we're hoping that when they get older, they'll come out a lot more, because there's a lot to do out there.
That was one of my questions, was what your grandkids think about the cattle, but it sounds like they maybe don't think about them yet.
Well, that's one of our little stories. So we have a 4.5-year-old granddaughter and a 2.5-year-old granddaughter. The 4.5 is kind of naturally, she's not as bold with animals as our 2.5-year-old. The 2.5-year-old, if you let her, which of course we wouldn't, would be in the middle of the pasture with the Longhorns trying to pet them. And she probably got that from me, I'm sure. But it's just incredible, the difference between the two girls. And then we have 2 babies who, they're babies. But it will be fun to see them mature and how they handle the Longhorns.
I'm sure you'll have some maybe interestingly named animals in your future, or nicknames anyway.
Oh, yes.
Someone warned me not to name cows after your grandkids, because then you can't sell them.
And I'm emotionally attached.
There you go. Do their parents find the ranch therapeutic or the cattle therapeutic? Do they enjoy their time out there?
Well, they each of our kids have a baby also, so there's 4 total.
One's in Austin. Our daughter and son-in-law are in Austin, and then son and daughter-in-law are in Dallas.
So it's not as easy for them to relax when they come out there with the babies. But yes, they would be there all the time if they weren't quite so committed on the family side.
And we're working on a kind of a childcare situation too. I think that'll change things.
Yes.
Do you feel like having the Longhorns has changed your stress level even during the weeks in Dallas? When you can't get out to the ranch, do you feel like it's at least impacted it a little bit?
I will say yes, because just psychologically, whatever you have on your mind, really kind of affects you physically. And if you think about Longhorns all the time, you just have them in the back of your mind, you're wondering about them. It's really a healthy pastime because it's productive and it's not worrying about anything. It's just kind of um, musing about these fantastic animals and wondering, okay, has she had her calf yet? And there is a little bit of worry because we're not there, but we have people checking on them, watching, feeding. So we have that comfort level, which is really nice.
Do you feel like hobby breeders sometimes maybe underestimate the mental health side of the lifestyle and how it can help them?
I do, just because they may not get the reward feeling like when you truly commit to, improving the breed, improving your herd. I don't know that for sure, but I could see, I know there's still stress relief and it's enjoyable. It's just a matter of what level you want to be. There's not a right or wrong answer. That's just what it is.
Do you feel like going to the events and also meeting people with similar interests and passions for them also kind of expands the therapeutic impact of it a little bit?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yes. We've made some great friends, and we did not realize this world was so social. We never even considered that when we bought our Longhorns until we went to that first auction to kind of see a lot of people knew each other. And then I started hearing more and more about how people like to get together, and I understand it. It's great.
And to be honest, at first I thought, being a city girl, I don't know what I'm going to have in common with these people. And I was a little hesitant at first. But people they're so open and would just invite. We didn't know anyone at our first sales, and we're just walking around like, high school cafeteria. Who do we sit with? And we were just welcomed. Just, oh, come sit with us. And that just warmed our heart quite a bit. So it was a pleasant surprise, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about beauty. What defines beauty in a Longhorn to each of you?
I would say just when it's hard to put your finger on it, but when everything clicks as far as what we like in a horn set, the horn length, the body, when you put it all together, color, all of it, you can just say that is a beautiful animal right there. And so it's hard to say any one thing, but Leslie and I have a little bit different how we look at them. And so when we can come together on one animal, we think it's special. And so that's what beauty is really when she and I can actually agree on has everything we want.
And really, our quintessential Longhorn, I would say, is her nickname is Dot. But her official name is Fast Iron, and she's our cover girl on our homepage, and she's just got it all. And just the beautiful elite swope, as I call it, and the drag iron dot, and just the body that just never quits. Just awesome. So I would use Dot as our example, and then also Heidi Ho, who was a recent purchase, who a lot of people might recognize that name. We just fell in love with her because he and I agreed on her
Yeah.
immediately.
And it's rare.
And we've never done that. He's usually, but we both said, heck yeah, and went for it.
Do you feel like your preferences have evolved since 2022?
I do. I guess once we started really, really learning and thinking about it, we realized since we're going to have a small herd, we want diversity. And so it made us say, okay, we have enough, tough checks. We need to look other places. And so when we go through a catalog, there's so many great cows, but we'll end up with just a handful we really want to consider just because we're trying to make it fit from a diversity standpoint into our herd. And so our preferences have changed tremendously because we had no preferences originally. It was just a shotgun approach, and we realized this is not going to work. And so for it to have a quality herd, it'd be known for having a quality herd. So yes, it has definitely evolved our preferences.
And one thing I will say about preferences that has not changed with me is disposition. I, from that very first sale, the stockyard sale, I would go around and people thought, oh my gosh, who is this crazy lady petting all these animals? But I did. I didn't care. So I went around and I petted all the animals and I tested their disposition. And I will never forget, once again, Heidi Ho. She is this huge, majestic, beautiful animal that we'd already fallen in love with. And I go to her pen and I just put my hand out and she lowers her head immediately. And it was just the sweetest thing. And she's never changed. She's been the sweetest, just sweetest. There's some that come close, but she's probably our sweetest.
Probably.
You mentioned that you've only had one calf crop on the ground. Is that right? Or one since you kind of
we just had 4 more yesterday and the day before. So a total of 3 in one day and then 1. So this is starting our second crop.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like there's a Norse Ridge look that you're going for, or do you want to try to maybe explain some of the, what you're hoping for out of that calf crop, kind of in terms of the beauty of the animal?
Sure. Our bull is M7 Irish Luck. And if you even go on his progeny page, the one thing that sticks out, because these calves are very young, is the color. I can't speak for our partners, but we've never had a solid white or red out of him. He throws incredible color. Of course, he's an incredible bull in that we love black and white. He has this hip, we call it the Irish hip, that he's throwing now to his offspring. We know he'll be over 90. He's working his way there now. I don't know what he is right now. We don't get him for a few more months. But our look really is just, I want Longhorn. If I'm in the Longhorn business, and to me, a Longhorn is over 90. I don't care if we ever have a 100-inch cow. That doesn't really matter to me. I just want to have that over 90 because they breed so well with any bull there is, really, that's quality. And then, of course, if Irish can keep putting on the hip and the structure, and we already know he's putting on the color, it's pretty much all right there. I mean, I'll just say that one of the biggest, turning points since we've been in this business is we had a really bad experience AI in the very first year because we were kind of led to believe you don't need a bull, just AI, and it'll all be fine. Not knowing anything about that, I go, okay, that'll be easy. Well, I think we were 1 for 12 on AI. It was terrible. And that was over a period of time of redoing it, and it just never did work. And so we realized we don't have a cleanup bull, and we're about to miss a whole breeding season, which we lost most close to our breeding season. And I'd met Wayne Manning, and I called him because we had seen that he had taken on the Gentrys as partners. And we love black and white, and we just thought, okay, he's a young bull. We knew we couldn't call the big players with big name bulls.
Let me kind of step back a little bit. We saw an ad that Brittany had created, and it was so impactful, and it advertised the fact that he was black and white, and so that caught our eye. And now,
yeah. And so I called Wayne, and I didn't know Wayne well, but talked to him about would there ever be an opportunity to be a partner in that bull. And I really didn't expect him to be gung-ho, but he acted like Yes, I think there is. And so he called the Gentrys. I don't know if they wanted it because they didn't really know. Even though we sat at the table, they probably don't even remember this story for all I don't even know. But he called me back and said, yeah, you're in. And we were just ecstatic because we knew we were going to get him immediately. And so we bought in. And so I just want to do a shout out to Wayne and Joanna Manning because they did not have to let us in on him. I know he was young, but still a lot of big breeders, which I consider Wayne a big breeder, they don't want to take on someone like us who might not have the best herd going. But I think, and I don't want to speak for Wayne, but I really think he saw that when I talked to him, we were committed to having good animals on his good bull. And again, I don't want to speak for him, but I really feel like he knew we were committed to improve. So it's a big thank you to them. And I hope other breeders will do that with young breeders, new breeders. We're not young, but we're new. So, because it helps it makes herds stronger when the big guys will let little guys like us in on good bulls.
I think one of the projects I worked with you all on after your website was going was right before last year's Horn Showcase, or you're great planners, so it was quite a bit before the Horn Showcase, but that's what was gearing up for. And I remember you being so excited about Irish Luck. So it's fun to hear the story about how it all came to be.
Yes. And really, Brittany did such a good job in color testing, getting him color tested. And he's a true black, and we can say that with confidence because the genetic color testing backs it up. He has the dominant black gene. I think it's capital ED, and that just shows up in these calves, especially if he's mating with a black.
We're getting a lot of black and white calves,
a lot of black
and
and
a
white
lot of
calves.
tricolor. Now we have a brown every once in a while, but the majority are those two colors, and we love both of those.
Yeah, and so his dam, Reba, is a rare 90-inch rebel black and white dam, and then his grand dam also has the ED dominant gene. So he is just chock full of all this, black and white genetics. Rebel HR is black and white. So we can say he is a true black with confidence because he really is.
And he fits in our herd so well. He's so gentle, which a lot of bulls are. I've come to see that the bulls tend to be more gentle than the mamas. And that he is just so gentle.
He's so gentle and
he's so big. And he's just massive, beautiful the muscle structure on him. And so we could be out there in the pasture just scratching his head, giving him cubes. I used to do that. I've decided I'm going to back off a little bit just because he's so big. It just takes him turning to walk away that could hurt you. Not totally by accident, but even when he's eating with all the cows, they get pretty aggressive, pushing each other out of the way. He just works his way in there and just starts eating. There's no pushing around, and his personality is perfect for our herd.
And he calms the girls down because they can get really catty, and so he'll just walk up there to the troughs, and they're just kind of, he cuts a swath, and he just, okay, I'm Irish, and here I am, and they know it. And so, and another really cute thing about him is when he's courting, he will be just very laid back and just put his head on a girl's shoulder and just hang out with her. But he's so gentle and sweet, and I just love him. I love him.
Not to put you on the spot, but I know you said you only have a handful of calves this year on the ground at the time that we're recording this. Is there one that's been born that you're really excited about, or one coming up that you can't wait to see in terms of pairings with him that you can talk about?
Well, I would say I'm most excited about Heidi Ho's heifer calf with Discovery. And Discovery's a newer bull, but it's Wayne Manning and the Hudsons are partners on him. And I think he's going to be a big time bull. He's just a massive bull and she had a heifer calf that's just beautiful.
Wait,
Becky.
well, Becky, of course. Becky was last year's crop, but she is Becca Katarina's calf and Irish, and she is absolutely gorgeous. She is just a classic tri-color. You can just see the kind of color change in her coat. She's probably about 70% tri, and then just the bright white. Horn direction is just going the right way, and beautiful disposition. She'll walk up to us, loves head scratches, Irish hip, the whole bit. So
Yeah.
Becky.
Those two stand out.
Yeah.
We have some others, but those two definitely stand out.
Is there a certain cow in the breed owned by anyone, dead or alive, maybe I guess we could go to, that you just really wish you could pair Irish with to see what you get?
I hadn't really thought about that.
I don't know. I haven't.
There are so many incredible cows. We have a maternal line called the Cherry line, which is Allen's Top Cherry. I would be interested to see how that would work. Any of the non-tough checks, legendary type cows, I think he would do fantastic with.
And we're lucky because a lot of our cows do have Jamaicism in them. So, did we talk about this?
No,
I think we did. And so, he has tough in him. So it's been a perfect balance of tough and Jamaicism.
So you all have come to understand who Jamaicism is, what he brings.
We finally did.
Yeah.
And we have probably as much Jamaicism in our herd as anything in drag iron. But yes.
Maybe the Brian Brett influence a little bit helped that.
Yeah, he probably said, you need to learn who Jamaicism is. Yeah. And actually, one of the cows we own is BR Becca Katarina, and she's double bred Jamaicism that Brian did that.
Before we move off from the topic of beauty, is there anyone in your herd that we haven't covered that you want to talk about, or any other traits or just information you want to share when it comes to the beauty of these cattle?
Well, we did mention Becca Katarina. We got her from Kent and Janet, and I don't think they wanted to sell her, but I don't know, I dug my heels in and we got her. And
I think it's because you gave her a treat and she took it. So
it's true.
That was it.
And again, I didn't know anything about Longhorns, but she has turned out to be an incredible cow on every level. Just beautiful body, triple twist, Longhorns, gorgeous color, the perfect proportion of a feminine face and the right size horns. If there's anything that bothers me, it's a really skinny feminine face and thick horns. I just think that's not a good look. And so probably Becca, and Becca Katarina is Becky's dam. So it's a maternal line that we want to continue.
We think Fast Iron is probably our best, but she's older, but she just keeps on producing really good calves. We've got a Wildfire calf with her. It was done with IVF. And of course, Heidi Ho just had her calf. And so we think she's tremendous. But we've got some others that we really, really like. That cow out of Allen's Top Cherry is very, I think, high quality cow. Beautiful 93-inch, beautiful. Everything about her is beautiful. Beautiful swooping horns. So we've got some young ones that are coming up. We feel really good about. We have been able to sell off some that really didn't fit in our herd, and so we've slowly been trying to get our herd the way we like it. And we're not there yet, but we're working that way.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the final term on your homepage, which is respect for the animals. What does that mean in practical terms?
Well, when you just think about the history of the Longhorn, they've been on this continent for 400 years and they've evolved to just be able to handle any kind of weather, any kind of feeding conditions, and and really become these animals that you have to respect because of what they've grown into and what they look like, and just with the proper nutrition. And we're lucky because we have really hilly land, lots of rocks that naturally conditions their muscles. And so they just and I'm always so amazed by their keen instincts. When we first started out, this mama would have a calf and hide the calf somewhere, and we're like, oh my gosh, and we'd worry and we couldn't find the calf. And that's just their way of protecting their babies. And so through the years, we've learned not to worry as much and know, okay, they know what they're doing. These are intelligent animals. So, yes, that's part of respect for sure.
We just always ask the question, is it best for the animal? I mean, it's just as simple as that. And if it's not, then we just won't do it. But I just really believe animals should be respected because they're counting on humans to take care of them. And it's really boils down to that. And I've seen, as a young person, I saw people disrespect these, especially commercial cow operations. There's no respect. It's strictly just a business, and it kind of turns your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why the Longhorn world is more for us.
How do you feel that respect plays into your breeding philosophy? Are you, trying to balance beauty but also structural correctness?
Absolutely. Yes. Of course, Leslie's all about color and horn set. I'm more pedigree, structure. And so I'm saying I like color too, and I like horn set too. I mean, horn set's huge to me. It has to have that look. And we try to even have a diversified horn set in our herd. But we do you'll see if you went on our webpage, we do have a certain look we like the best. You can tell. But yeah, that I would say that.
And I've already said this, but I think it bears repeating that the horns really can't be too thick, because I think that eventually, I don't know this for sure, but I would think it would hurt the animal if the horns are too thick and too heavy. And if that animal doesn't have the size and the muscular structure to hold her head up, then there might be some suffering there. And so we just don't believe in that look.
Well, you touched on it previously a little bit when you mentioned that you think that having the Longhorns has also helped your personal relationship. How does respect play into that? Have you kind of watched each other learn, alongside about the pedigrees and the land management and all of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You take it.
I would just say what we have to really be cognizant of is staying kind of in our lane. We kind of know where my lane is and where Leslie. And as long as we stay in our lanes, I think we're really good, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to come together to just make these major decisions. I know a lot of people, it's just one of either the female or the males making the decision. It's just almost easier because there's not anyone pushing back. But I really think it makes our decision process stronger, just because we do have each what we want. I would have bought a cow a couple of weeks ago if it hadn't been for her saying no. But that's just the way it is.
And I'm kind of glad, not that I'm always right, because I'm not, But there were a few times when I just pulled back the reins and said, look, there's always another auction. Let's not get emotional about this one animal. She does not check all the boxes. Let's wait. And it was the right decision. And so we have learned to respect one another in that process. And again, and we both have pretty strong personalities, but we've learned, after 36 years of marriage, how to navigate that.
Right.
So,
who are some breeders that you maybe haven't talked about yet that you have high respect for within the industry, and why?
Well, Bob Loomis spent a whole afternoon with me riding around looking at his incredible herd. It's just kind of, you're just like, oh my gosh. I picked up all kinds of tidbits from him just riding around in a Polaris. I mentioned the Buxtons, but the Buxtons I think have a really quality operation and super nice and very supportive of us. They're just 20 miles from us. The Stegomolars, we've got to know them. They're only an hour from us. Super knowledgeable, nice people. We have a ton of respect for them. And Mike Davis Mike lives here in Dallas like we do and goes to his ranch, but he's been very helpful, and I have a lot of respect for the kind of herd he's built. I've picked his brain a lot about that, and there's a lot to be learned there on how to. He really focused on one maternal line he's made his whole herd out of that, and that's not everybody does that. And I love people with a strategy that everyone else might not have. I mean, you look at Dean Whitlock, he has all these different partnerships, but his strategy is to have a piece of most of the best animals in the entire industry. I mean, I love that. I don't know if I would do it. I just love the fact that he has a strategy that he's implementing, and other people have strategies that they're doing. I've heard a guy the other day say, yeah, have a friend who only buys red cows because he can get them so discounted, he knows how to put color on them. I mean, there are strategies, even for young people who don't have a lot of money, to make it work in this business if you really think about it.
Anything to add, Leslie?
We did have a vision and a strategy that we stuck to. And like we were saying before, we kind of had different priorities. His was more horn, mine was color. But we have combined those to create the herd that we have. And we're really, I'm super happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And people have commented that we have a good looking herd. And so I never thought it would look this good 3 years ago. I had no idea, but and a lot of it has to do with these maternal lines that we've, like the Fast line with Fast Iron, and the Cherry line, Becca line, Heidi Ho with all of her Horseshoe J breeding, and those are really strong maternal lines in our herd, and just adding Irish to that. I'm just so excited to see what the future holds.
As we wrap up here, I have a few closing questions for you. So I want to see if you're on the same page about this question.
Okay.
How long until you go full-time at the ranch?
Well, we talk about that a lot. With my business, I mean, we've talked about having an apartment here and then coming in from during the week. We know people who do that, and they on Thursday go back to their ranch and stay all weekend. That's kind of what we do anyway. So I don't know if we love our house here and our grandkids are here, or one side of our family is here, so it makes it easy. I don't know if that's in the future or in the near future. Anything could happen.
Where do you see Norse Ridge Ranch as a breeding program in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
Wow. That's a hard one. I would just hope that we continue to improve our herd and that we have quality offspring we're selling that people will want. I mean, that's kind of the ultimate goal in this business. And it's just going to take a lot of detailed analysis and work to get there.
And we have,
And we love doing that. So
we do believe, and this kind of goes back to the respect tagline, the respect. We need to just give these animals time. Like, there are a few animals that are just awkward looking, as they're kind of like awkward preteens. And I think they deserve the respect and the time and the nutrition to develop into a great looking animal. And when you look at their dam, look at their grand dam, and know, okay, this can happen. It just, especially with maybe twisty horns or something, it just takes time.
For those folks listening who might be city-based, right, and Longhorn curious, what would your advice be?
I would say do what we did. Just get online and start browsing and open your mind and do your homework, and then maybe go to some of these auctions. And
yeah, I think you almost wish you could make people, they have to go to 3 auctions and go to 3 ranches before you ever buy anything, because the learning curve is straight up if people would do that. We didn't even know to do that, but and most people don't know to do that, but it would make a massive difference in the mistakes, because we all make mistakes, and it just makes it easier, I think, on people if they would do that.
Because you can waste a lot of money.
Yeah.
You really can. And, we made some mistakes, but just kind of pull back the reins a little bit, do your homework, get online, and it'll just pay off.
Tell our listeners how they can find you online.
NorseRidgeRanch.com. It's our website.
And then I guess Instagram is norse.ridge.ranch.longhorns, I think.
Yeah.
And then Facebook. Those are the 3. We're trying to do more Instagram. We only did Facebook for a long time, but we're starting to now. We have a really smart niece that helps us. So
It's the youth angle.
Yes.
Thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing the heart behind your ranch. This conversation really reflected your tagline, which was therapy, beauty, and respect. I don't feel like it's just branding for you all. It's definitely how you live the lifestyle. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you, Molly.